friends, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video, and I wanted to talk about composite Pluto on the ascendant. What happens when we see this in astrology? So composite charts are midpoint charts, similar to synastry but not the same. It's where we actually produce a natal chart of the relationship itself, and it tells us a great deal about how these two people's energies meet and what happens when they do meet. So Pluto is, that original ruler and energy of the 8th house. It is about death, rebirth, destruction, regeneration, underground things, buried things, occult, sexuality, death, taxes, crisis, ups and downs, things that we don't necessarily want to deal with, things that are repressed. Definitely repression. And so the ascendant in a composite chart is what the couple is actually doing. It's how they're physically interacting with their environment. So any planets on the ascendant in a composite chart are going to show you what is the real kind of persona or personality of that relationship. How is that relationship actually speaking or communicating or negotiating, and the immediacy of its environment. So when we see Pluto on the composite ascendant, it tells us that there is some tremendous passion between these two people. There's typically a great deal of attraction that happens with this one. These relationships tend to be very profound, intense, and life-changing. So whatever is going on in there, when we have this one, we tend to carry this relationship into our future even after it is over. You're really doing Pluto when you have it on a composite ascendant. That's what you're both acting out. And it pulls up these feelings of attachment and of passion and of really wanting to invest in that other person and see that pay off. That, these feelings can be rather shocking, where we haven't ever felt like this about anybody else. And so it tends to be a relationship that is really set apart from all other relationships. Passion really rules the behaviors when we have this on the composite ascendant, and it's very, very common for sex to be the main theme of the relationship. That's what they always go back to. That's one of the things that they actually chose to get into the relationship over was the quality and the passion of the sex, and it does tend to continue even as or if we see a breakdown in the relationship. One partner is typically more controlling when we have a composite Pluto on the ascendant. It's really, 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 really common to have a narcissist, codependent, narcissist empath kind of dynamic going on when we have this. It's very common for one of the partners to start to see, after a certain, it doesn't come on suddenly, it would be 2, 3 more years into it, they start to feel that something is wrong. A lot of times it's not obvious with Pluto on the composite ascendant. It is a feeling, it is a darkness that we can live with, that comes up slowly, and we start to understand more and more and more as time goes on. We have more exposure to the other person in this relationship, that something is very wrong here and might even be dangerous to your emotional, mental, sometimes physical health. So it is typically found with one partner who is older, one partner who is younger. It's more common than not. And there is something about this one where it does something about, I mean, it's Pluto. It does typically manifest as negative when we have this on the ascendant because of what the nature of Pluto is. We're acting out repressed things. We're causing each other to come in contact with some of our greatest pain. Pluto is the things that we choose not to deal with, and we've got it on the composite ascendant. That is what we're pulling out of each other. So there's this constant passion dynamic that can actually break down at least one of the partners. It's usually not good for either one of them, though, over time. So if Pluto is also squaring the midheaven, we have an added layer of difficulty here, because that shows us that not only are we pulling up Pluto between the two of us and causing each other to act that out on each other, we are also controlling the behaviors, the actions, the actual goals of one person or of both people. There's typically going to be control going back and forth when we have this. It's a lot of times it can look like one partner is being controlled, but if you look deeper, there is a manipulation that the passive or codependent partner is using alongside the manipulation that the other partner is using. It is just less obvious. See, this is Pluto. We do not recognize readily what's going on. We recognize the passion. We recognize the great sex. We often do not recognize the level of mental and emotional difficulty that we are under, or the stress that we are exposed to and become used to. This is an aspect of living in a pressure cooker for at least one of the partners. If we have a breakup with Pluto on the ascendant or the descendant, it tends to be very nasty and very bitter, because we do not want to let this go. This is going to be a relationship that is mainly based on needs. Having each other fulfill our needs. Having each other engage in the need to experience a plutonic dance. So most of the time, when you see this one in a composite chart, you are going to see two plutonic people. Or you're going to see one plutonic person and one empathic codependent person. And they complete this lovely circuit, a closed circuit of subtle and overt manipulation between the two of them. And it is ultimately a partnership that is about experiencing the things in yourself that are unhealed. And this kind of relationship is going to rip the Band-Aid off of things that are not, here goes my light again, I can't trust it. I must be in a relationship with it. We're composite Pluto is on the ascendant. No, I'm just kidding. So it's a process between two people of understanding what is going on. What is it about you that makes me crazy? Or what is it about you that makes me puke up a lot of my childhood unhealed stuff? Or what is it about you that makes me so passionate that when I'm around you, I have so much anxiety that I can't really think or function? And ultimately, we are showing each other some very difficult things that through the process of this relationship, we may be able to heal. Typically, with Pluto on the composite ascendant, we are going to get worse before we get better, because we are going to start puking up a lot of vasanas. We're going to start puking up a lot of characteristics and past conditioning that we haven't come to grips with. And we will come to see that in some very stark and shocking ways when we have this on the composite ascendant. So it is not for everybody. And you're going to want to look into the synastry and see, what is the deeper story? Why are we seeing this here? Is it one person that has a lot of Pluto and the other person has a lot of Neptune and some Pluto? Or is it that we have two highly, highly Plutonic people and they're coming together and working, you know, some real deep stuff out? Very occasionally, you can see this one on the composite ascendant in two very mild people that don't really have a great deal of Pluto going on. And in that case, it's aspected usually very, very lightly. Usually, if you have Pluto on the composite ascendant, you're also going to see a host of other difficult aspects going on. You're going to see some Mars there. You're going to see some 8th house, because we don't get this one on the composite ascendant if we do not have some psychological or emotional reasons to need this type of relationship to work some things out. So it's kind of a big red flag when you see this one on any angle. Pluto, the midheaven, the ascendant, the IC, the descendant, you want to pay attention when you see it on an angle, because there is a reason why it's there. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com. Yes, I do private consultation. You can find me on Facebook at Truth and Aspect Astrology and Instagram. And make sure to leave me your comments and your suggestions for more videos, and I'll be back super soon. Bye-bye.